Well, our topic for today is what are the tech-related trade shows you can't miss in second half of 2024? Our incredible expert for today held positions such as Senior Global Marketing Professional and Data Management, wow, Global Marketing Program Manager, and now he's an Executive Marketing Consultant at Change 3. Presenting William Frewa.
Hi, my name, as you've heard Ella say, is Will Frewa. I was with IBM for 15 years, EMC for 3 years, a couple of other companies along the way. And as part of my job, as Ella mentioned, the global marketing manager, I've done my fair amount of travel, which means I've probably attended more than my fair of trade shows. So a subject I'm quite familiar with and happy to chat forward as this webinar goes on.
Thank you, Will. We invite you to take part in this conversation, which will last about 30 minutes plus the Q&A. At any time during the discussion, you can post your questions or comments in a Q&A chat. Gil will monitor and showcase some of the questions to spark the discussion further. A gentle reminder to please be respectful and appropriate with your questions and comments at all times. If you can't stay for the full event, be sure to watch the replay and set up a meet and greet with our expert. And, to complete your voice verification, set up a meet and greet if you want one. So let's get started. You know what, Will? I'm so excited to discuss this topic with you because you have this experience being at trade shows, doing trade shows, all your time with IBM. And I want to share the data that we've collected. We surveyed over 336 executives to ask them about their company's plan and over 100 executives about their personal plans over the next 12 months related to tech related trade shows. And here's what we found. As you can see, 60 something percent of them um, stated that they'll attend, they'll have someone else's join, people will come, people will definitely come and, attendance will go up. And this is the interesting part. 30% of them plans to exhibit. They're going to sponsor, they're going to have a booth, they're going to pay marketing, and they'll speak. It's a really good participation. Well, about 12% say they didn't find it valuable for them, and 6% said none. So, Will, what are your thoughts about this data?
This data syncs up very much with my previous experiences. Um, Trade shows are a huge educational component, regardless whether you're coming from the tech field or you're coming from, let's say, marketing or sales or otherwise. I'll give you a small example. As I mentioned, I was with IBM for 14 years, and we had started by going to Las Vegas for IBM Think. And it started at 5,000 people attending, went up to 30, 40,000, outgrew Las Vegas, ended up going to San Diego. And that shows how much of an interest there is in trade shows as more and more people use them, whether you are doing this for, connections, whether you're doing this for education or anything else. As you can see, the second set of numbers, which is 30% plan to be a part of the show, it means not only will you have people exhibiting, but you'll also have people attending, which works out really well. Remember, this is a great component of your growth in your career and one you should definitely use. You'll see from the numbers, it's only 12% who are not planning on attending. And that is quite a small number if you consider it from a large percentage point of view. Ella, back to you.
Thank you, Will. Well, it sounds like tech trade shows will be hot for this year. Loads of people in different role, not just in IT, people plan to go and participate. Would you agree?
Absolutely. From what I've seen of the audience and the people I've talked to in my trade shows that I've gone, have been anything from the developers, uh, think of jeans and tie-dyed shirts and so on and so forth, to the executives, think of suits, and everybody in between. A trade show will be beneficial to you no matter which particular title, which particular area that you come from. And it is a great, again, educational tool as well as a way of making connections and networking between like-minded folks from your particular area or new areas.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that insight, Will. Now let's move on to the next slide. What are the hot topics for trade shows? Well, if you're hosting trade shows, people are craving for knowledge, education, and insight, about technology because there's a big tech topic out there, regardless of your job function. Now, let's check it out. Again, this data came from over 336 executives. Wow. Looking at the data, I'd say that the universal topic would be AI, cybersecurity and privacy, and data analytics. Does that line up to what you see as an expert, Will?
It's an interesting world we live in. AI and machine learning have just taken off like crazy. Think of where ChatGPT used to be last year to where
Mhm.
it is today, and the other alternatives that have come up to ChatGPT. Cybersecurity and privacy. I mean, I think these days you can't open the news without hearing of somebody whose database was hacked and where the information is available on the dark web. I believe the last one was Disney. Who would have thought that Disney would get hacked, and specifically in their database, not the retail part, but my understanding from the news is that this was a developer hack into the back end systems. Now, data analysis is the one that I find quite fascinating. For the simple reason is everything runs from data. Doesn't matter if you're doing AI and machine learning or you're doing cybersecurity and privacy, you need to be able to get and find out about data. Now, how does this fit in a trade show? As per the slide, vendors know that these are the subjects that are of the most interest, which means when you end up going to a trade show, and remember, some trade shows are virtual and some are actually physical where you go to a location. So they will hold breakout sessions, main tent sessions, developer stacks that cater to the particular subjects that the market is seeing these days. So you go to any trade shows these days, whether it's Microsoft or Oracle or IBM or some of the smaller ones, you'll find AI machine learning. Go to the ones for security. It will be all about how to not get hacked and what security measures you should use. And they will have actual workshops in trade shows that you can sit, sometimes play around with the software and work your way around to where you feel comfortable. This is not something that mass exposure is not something you can get by sitting in an office or Googling. I mean, we all swear by Google these days, right? But this is where a trade show would really benefit you. I mean, you're playing around with the actual software and talking to the people who've actually, created the software and talking about it and provided the topic interests. Back to you, Ella.
Wow. Well, I couldn't agree with you, more, Will. AI, cybersecurity and privacy, and data analytics are really impacting every job function in one way or another, right?
Absolutely correct. It doesn't matter whether you're doing a review on Amazon these days, you can use
Mhm.
AI and ChatGPT to fix your review, whether you are marketing or a data analyst, or whether you are a developer working on your code. These are all things that impact them no matter what your title, what your line of work is these days,
Mhm.
and where do you want to go tomorrow. Look at cybersecurity and privacy. A lot of people will say, well, that's nothing to do with me. But
Mhm.
you have to understand, you have to follow the cybersecurity rules, phishing emails, scam emails, junk emails. That doesn't matter whether you are the front desk person whether you are taking care of facilities, whether you are an executive or so on. All it takes is one little mistake and the organization might have an issue. Again, things of interest, things that vendors very much emphasize and that they would like you to know, a lot of times based on free education. Back to you,
Perfect.
Ella.
Cool. Well, and for our last data set, once again, here are the data that we've gathered from over 336 executives across all industry and across all job function, not just in tech. When we ask them about which tech related shows are people most likely to attend. So let's check out this list that generated the most interest out of 25 plus list trade shows, listed in our survey. So, Will, what do you think about this data, about this list?
I think this is quite a representative list. Look, there's no way to get every single trade show that's happening in the world going on. But as Ella has mentioned, this is the one that showed the most interest, the one that most folks are talking about, the one that most folks are saying, hey, this is a good trade show, and this is one that we should attend. Now, as you can see from the dates on the right side, we're talking about, July onwards, second half, and so on. Uh, I like the Digi mark on one, but I'm not sure if it's popular because of the subject or because it's based in Hawaii. You make your own conclusions on this one, but I have been to virtual ones of those, and they're actually quite useful. They're mostly aimed towards the marketing section. As Ella had mentioned, this spans both tech as well as non-tech audiences. You will see that the big vendors are represented here. You have Microsoft Ignite, you have AWS, Amazon, HPC, and you have the IBM one as well. You will also notice from a location point of view that Las Vegas is represented more than any other city for the simple reason that Las Vegas was meant for large conventions and concerts and is therefore uniquely suited towards holding trade shows. San Diego as well is California point of view. So the last one that I went to was also in San Diego and it's a good one. Uh, I would say, yeah, given a choice, if I had to choose my first one that I would attend, it would be AI and cybersecurity. Remember, if you go back to the previous slide where we talked about how AI, machine learning, and cybersecurity were at the top three based on the surveys and the results that we had received. So I think that one would be very, very important. Part of it is also look around you in your particular area. Not everybody's able to, time and resources wise to travel to trade shows, but sometimes the vendors will actually host local trade shows that are just local to you in your city. And it might just be a conference room with 25 or 30 people, still worth going to as well. But from a what we have seen and the survey point of view, these are the ones that are the most interesting and the one that most folks have indicated an interest in attending and going to see. Back to you, Al.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you, Will.